Welcome to Backstage with Becca B with special guest Erik Christopher Peterson. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca B. On this episode, this Denver, Colorado native and Webster University graduate can currently be seen on stage in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway, where he plays Scorpius Malfoy. Please welcome Erik Christopher Peterson.
Hey, Becca, good morning.
Morning. Love the advertisement right there.
It felt right. It felt right.
Yes. Do you normally just have it there or?
To be fully transparent, it's usually it does live on this bookshelf, but in a different spot.
Amazing.
But I felt like it was more
Yeah.
appropriate here for the sake of talking today.
Yes. I love that you just have it on your bookshelf just for just to see it every day.
Yeah, this is one of my, I don't know if it's my mom's or my dad's, but one of their playbills from my first show that they saved and
Aw,
gave to me. Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
sweet. I love that.
So not just any
Aw.
playbill, but
They were so proud. They were like, here, this is our special souvenir.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. Well, how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. I will say I'll warn you, I'm fighting a little bit of a cough, so if I'll try to mute myself because I know that could probably be a headache for editing. Um, but other than that, I'm doing well. How are you?
Great, fantastic, and very excited to talk with you. I got to see the show in January when I was in New York. It was freezing, by the way.
Oh
What?
yeah.
I hope it's not as cold now. I don't know.
It's getting a little bit better.
Okay, good. Because yeah, it was I feel like the first day I was there was -8-degree wind chill or
Okay,
something
yeah,
like
you were
that.
here you were here on the really cold week. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But I mean, I survived barely, but I did it.
And congratulations for doing so.
Thank you. I was as a West Coast girly right now. Was very proud of myself.
Okay, are you in California?
I'm in Los Angeles, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so very different weather.
Yeah, very much so. And I grew up in Texas, so also very different.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yes. So I want to get into things. Have
Yeah.
you always known that you wanted to be a theater performer, and has Broadway always been one of the goals?
The short answer to that question is yes. The long answer to that question is that my dad is a high school theater teacher, and so like from a very early age, I fell in love with watching theater. I would go after I got out of elementary school, I would go sit and watch him direct rehearsal in the theater with his high school students, and I just fell in love with everything about it, and knew it's what I wanted to study. And so I was fortunate to get to study it. And I don't know if I ever thought Broadway was in the cards. I mean, certainly in my dreams, but I'm not a huge singer, and so to have found myself in a Broadway play is pretty spectacular. Definitely a dream come true.
Yes. And I feel like people think Broadway and they're like musical theater, but it's so important to also realize that there are so many great plays that don't involve singing
Yeah.
on Broadway too. And that I feel like that needs to be a little more advertised in the Broadway world. Is we have
Right.
plays too. It's not just musicals.
And not to say that play can't have spectacle too, because I mean, I feel like with Harry Potter and Stranger Things is coming, and I keep hearing. I have you seen the footage from this Hunger Games show that's
Oh
going
my
on in London?
gosh.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, it's like I think it's really special, with or without the music, to get to feel the excitement of being in the same room as the action like that. Yeah.
Yes. I was talking to someone in the fall about Hunger Games, and they were like, I'm gonna manifest that it's gonna happen because I want to be in it as Katniss." And I'm like, "Hey, you did it."
Yeah, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah, here it is. And I it's just like so wild that like we're bringing we're bringing content people love to the stage, and people get to like see this happening, like the stories they love right in front of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be in the same room as it, like people often ask me, what is it about the Harry Potter play that is different than the movies or the books? And it's like, well, you're in the same room as Harry Potter. You're
Right.
breathing the same air, and it makes it feel that much more immediate, I think.
Yeah. You're seeing it happen right in front of your eyes, all the stuff, which,
Yeah, there's no CGI.
oh my gosh, yeah, it's insane. And I'm gonna get more into that later. But I want to ask, what was the first theater show that you ever saw?
Oh wow, the first show I ever saw probably is before I have memories of it, to be entirely honest. I remember being quite young. I grew up in the Denver area, and some shows like to do their pre-Broadway tryouts in Denver, especially Disney. And I remember going to see the pre-Broadway tryout of The Little Mermaid, and I remember my mind kind of being blown by the fact that there were these performers on Heelys. Um, so I remember seeing that, but I'm sure the first thing I saw was something that my dad directed. I remember him directing a production of My Favorite Year. I don't know if you are familiar. It's this beautiful little musical, um, and it's got like comedy and sword fighting, and I was probably 3 or 4 years old, and like this is the best thing in the world.
Right.
Yeah,
You're like, this is cool. How can I be in this as
yeah,
a
yeah,
3-year
totally,
old? Please cast me immediately.
exactly.
So growing up, I'm sure it helped to have like your dad teaching, but how did you work on becoming like a well-rounded actor growing up? Because your acting in Cursed Child is like next level.
Oh, well, thank you, Becca. Um, yeah, I mean, I got super lucky in that I could kind of have acting class at home whenever I wanted. Um, and then I knew it was something that I was kind of serious about wanting to do with greater frequency. My dad had the foresight to say, well, hey, actually, I think you probably shouldn't come to the high school I teach at because I don't want you to be the director's kid and deal with whatever, social high school situations arise from that. So he recommended I go to a different high school that um, he really adored and trusted the theater teacher at that school, and I did as much as I possibly could in school. I took all the classes, and summer camps, and uh, yeah, I got really lucky to just get to do it a lot. And I think in getting to do it a lot, I have maybe discovered a thing or two that I try to use in my own work. And then I went to college. I studied acting at Webster in St. Louis, and through the pandemic.
Oh
And
my God. I'm so sorry.
yeah, there's only so much you can do with an Ibsen scene on Zoom, but
Right.
what there is to be done with it, we tried.
Yes.
Uh,
But it kind of just like, I think it just like puts a damper on like the whole college experience,
yeah, certainly.
which is kind of sad. Did did you get to go to like in-person classes for like any of the time period?
Yeah, my freshman year was all regular. Most of my sophomore year, it hits spring break my sophomore year, um, and then the rest of sophomore year and junior year were sort of like mostly online, occasionally in person. And then by the time the vaccines rolled out, everyone's heard this story. By the time the vaccines rolled out, like senior year got closer to normal. We were just doing like plays with masks on, but we were in the
Okay.
theater together.
Ugh. It's just like a different experience that
Hmm.
you had towards the end. You're like, well, okay, this is completely 180 and
Yeah.
flipped. But
Yeah, and then even the beginning of my time at Harry Potter, we were still, having to test because I've been in the show for
oh,
about two
wow.
and a half years now, and we were still taking tests, COVID tests every couple of days, not even weekly, like every couple of days, and wearing masks the second you stepped off stage, and no stage door
Oh my
because
gosh.
we had to, go straight home and keep the germs
Yeah,
away. Yeah,
yeah, and stay healthy.
exactly.
Protect yourselves.
So
So,
yeah, it's definitely been a change now.
yeah. Before I get into Webster University, because I want to ask about that, I want to ask because I've interviewed a lot of people who, when they tour in Denver, they're like, altitude, horrible. So,
Yeah.
growing up in Denver, do you have any tips and pointers for performers to help with the altitude?
Well, gosh, I think I have had friends tour through Denver, and I'm always curious to talk to them about it because I know it can be difficult. Growing up there, it was kind of like just normal to me. But now when I go home, it is something I have to be conscientious about. I did my first professional theater job was the summer after high school, and it was a production of Spamalot that we rehearsed in the Denver area, and then we performed at a theater up in the mountains. So that was like another 5,000 feet in the elevation gain. And we went up to tech, and the first number I was teching, I played a series of characters that Ethan Slater just played in the Broadway revival recently.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was singing the Not Dead Fred song, and I remember falling down at the end of the song on the stage, dead, and
Yeah.
I couldn't catch my breath. It was like, because at that point we're not just at 5,000 feet like you are in Denver. We were at
Yeah.
probably close to 11,000 feet, and so out of breath. So it's tough. I don't have any tips other than you just got to give yourself time to acclimate. I guess at the Buell, which is the main theater tours come through, they have an oxygen tank backstage. So if you get off stage, you can, um, hook up and get some oxygen. And so take advantage of that, I guess.
That's just wild. I feel like the thing is about like touring through Denver is like when you're used to it, when you're finally used to it, like that's probably like by your last day there.
Yeah, well, and then you probably feel invincible wherever you go next, um,
Right.
back down to a lower elevation. Yeah, I guess maybe whoever's scheduling the tours, if you could sort of like gradually build an elevation, like maybe it's, if we're going from sea level, maybe next stop is, a little bit closer to mile high, and then work your way up to Denver. That would be very
Right.
kind. That would be very thoughtful.
I mean, I love Denver, so like nothing against it, but just like so impressed that performers can go and acclimate to it and like perform there
Yeah,
because it is a feat, I feel
yeah,
like.
definitely.
And you've also, speaking of Spamalot, you've done a lot of you've I saw Romeo and Juliet on your resume twice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, what makes you continue loving and like continue wanting to do productions of shows like that?
Yeah. Well, I love Shakespeare. I would do Romeo and Juliet again and again. Um, I have one of my best friends was doing a production of As You Like It, and I think somebody asked him like, why Shakespeare? And he said, I just got to give him complete credit because I think it's better than anything I could say. He said Shakespeare said things. The reason we still study Shakespeare, we still love Shakespeare, is because he said things in a way that nobody had said them before, and nobody's been able to say them since. And I think there is some truth to that. And I think the stories are just epic, and I love living in that world. Um, so yeah, Shakespeare all the way for me.
So what I'm hearing is when the Romeo and Juliet production that just closed on Broadway like goes on tour or something.
Hey, sign me up. I'm there. I didn't
And
get to see it, but I heard it was really excellent.
yes, I heard the same thing. So I'm hoping they figure out a way for it to tour. I mean, I
That'd
know
be
it'd
pretty
be
cool.
different because it was in the round, but you know. So how did you land on Webster University? And what was the most valuable takeaway from your education there besides we can Zoom and still learn?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did the whole, I think a lot of people have done this, the whole college audition circuit. I auditioned for like 19 different schools, and I got into some of them. I didn't get into some of them. And of the ones that I got into, um, my my parents kind of helped me narrow it down to like three, and then I spent I guess what would that have been, my fall break, spring break, something. And we went and we visited the three campuses, and I got to do a shadow day with current students and see what the classes were like. And after the one at Webster, it just kind of something in my gut said, this is the place to go. And so that's where I went, in Webster Groves, St. Louis, Missouri. And I had a great time there.
And I feel like like just like by like the personality of the program kind of
Yeah.
in a way when it's the right fit for you. You're like,
Yeah, and
okay,
you're kind of meeting the people, the students as well as the professors, and you can say, are these the people I want to learn from for the next 4 years? Are these the people I want to learn with for the next 4 years? And felt like the right fit.
yeah.
And
I
then you
mean,
said, what's the most poignant thing I learned? Was that
yeah.
your next question? I think at a certain point, the professors at Webster kind of said, all right, we've taught you the things, we've given you the tools in your toolbox, and now it's up to you to decide how you want to use them and apply them and maintain them. And that freedom to kind of figure out how I wanted to use what I'd learned, I think was really important. And because then once I got into the rehearsal process for Harry Potter, there's no professor there holding your hand. There's a creative team to work with, but you have to have your own creative onus as an actor.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. And like I was gonna say also like choosing when you're looking at schools, you're so young at that time and like you're still a kid and it's like you're kind of like so much pressure is on you because it's like, okay, well, this is where you're studying what you want to do for the rest of your life, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, gosh, what a massive decision that we make at like 17, 18 years old,
I
financially and like, um, yeah,
Yeah, financially, yes.
yeah.
So true, very true. So after Webster, when did you get the audition for Cursed Child and what was that like?
Yeah, it was not long after I graduated. It was maybe 3 or 4 weeks after graduation.
Wow.
I, well, I had sent in, even before I graduated, I had sent in a video to the open video call to play Scorpius,
Yeah.
and I didn't hear anything. And then the Actors Access audition went out. My agent got me an audition for it, for Albus, not for Scorpius.
Oh,
Um,
plot twist.
and I was thrilled to get the tape, so I shot an Albus audition and thought surely nothing else would come of it. And then a week or two later, they asked if I could come to New York to do a movement audition.
Oh.
And then I thought nothing else would come of that. And then a week or two later, they asked me to come back to read for Albus again and for Scorpius. And then I ended up kind of auditioning for both parts for a little ways and the ensemble. And then after like a couple of months passed and rounds of auditions, they said, all right, this is the last one for Scorpius. Let's see how it goes. And I guess it went not poorly, because here I am.
Yeah, I would assume it went not poorly. And speaking of the movement auditions, so growing up, did you dance
A
or
little bit, a little bit. Not much. I think I say my best movement training I ever received as an actor was playing baseball. I played baseball all growing up,
oh,
and so that was my training for the movement call for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
baseball is a difficult little game to play too. So
Can be, yeah.
I feel like people don't realize I learned a lot about it recently
Oh yeah.
from my sister's my sister's boyfriend, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
But yeah, it's a wild sport.
yeah, yeah. Sure can be.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
Harry Potter movement audition can be a wild sport also. So hand in hand.
I mean, how did you like acclimate to the movement and stuff and learn it? What was your process?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't particularly dissimilar to like one of my college movement classes. Um, so I tried to just have fun with it, to be totally frank. Like I remember being very nervous, and then another actor that I was sitting next to in the waiting room, they called our names, and it was kind of a group audition, and he said, "All right, here we go." And something about him saying that just like totally freed me up to just go have fun with it. And I
Yeah.
remember Imani Jade Powers, who was Delphi in my first year with the show, was in the same movement call, and we kind of just like hit it off. We were having a fun time, doing our best at the physical sort of activities and sequences, and um, yeah. So
Yeah.
then I was very happy when I found out she was also going to be in the show.
Yay, audition partners.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fun. So, what was the rehearsal process like for for your first year of Cursed Child? Because you've been in it, as you said, for a while now,
Yeah.
and it's changed throughout the years, which I'm gonna get to. But
Yeah. 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 I've done, I guess, three rehearsal processes now with the show. The first one certainly was sort of the most intense because that was when I was learning the whole thing.
yeah,
Um, and we had maybe a month in the studio and then 3 weeks of tech. And there were only six of us that were brand new to the production at that time, which meant we were able to work really quickly because I came in with Imani, as I mentioned, and then Joel was the Albus that I came in with, and we were all brand new. And then there were a couple of swings that were new as well. But otherwise, the cast was largely remaining the same, or were people coming from the San Francisco production. So on the first day of rehearsal, it was like we were able to run the first like 15 pages of the script just go. Fortunately, Joel and Imani and I had had a couple of days pre-rehearsal to work up into that. But I was amazed to all these people that, to my perception, it was their first day of rehearsal. Well, they'd been doing the show for 2 years in San Francisco, and then we just hit the ground running, and it allowed us to work really quickly. And I definitely felt supported by everybody, and also like challenged to keep up. And it was, I mean that the best way possible. To after rehearsal, sit down and go over a review, make sure the lines were in my skull, and yeah, so it was yeah, 6 or 7 weeks, and then when you're a replacement, you don't get previews, so it's
oh no,
just it's just right into the
yeah,
show, and it was the most thrilling, adrenaline-filled night.
you just jump on that train.
Yeah,
The
literally,
whole,
jump off the
literally.
train.
Yep, literally. I was like, wait, Hogwarts Express.
Yeah,
Yep, yep. And you have to make magic seamlessly happen on stage, which is another feat. And you all do it just like so extremely well because you're like, wait, you're like trying to figure out how everything happens on stage as an audience member watching the show. And you're like, nope, can't do it.
well,
Don't.
that's a huge shout out to our illusions team. They're the best, and have
Why?
transformed a group of actors into magicians, wizards.
Yes, yes. I mean, you can actually put like a real wizard on your resume now.
Yeah, real wizard, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Where'd you go to study wizardry?
exactly. Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That'd be a whole like interesting little convo with someone who maybe doesn't know that that's
Yeah.
a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone just like looking at the resume doesn't know anything about Harry Potter. So, what was the day you made your Broadway debut like, and like how did you prepare that day?
Yeah. That was a very full day. So all of my family from Colorado was in New York to come see the show. And we had a dress rehearsal in the morning. So it was effectively, in that way, a two-show day. So we
Yeah.
did the dress rehearsal, which was, I think, might have been the first or second time we had done the whole show from start to finish, because of just the nature of what the rehearsal process is like. And then I had a short dinner break to have dinner with my family. and
Oh,
I burnt my tongue on some really hot green tea. So I made my Broadway debut with a burnt tongue.
not that.
Um, and then we went and did the show. And I remember we were getting towards the end of the dress rehearsal, and I was sitting backstage for one of the brief breaks that I get. And I turned to Joel, and I was sort of like, "We're supposed to do this again tonight? How do we do it?" But the adrenaline just takes you on that first night. And now, sure, a two-show day requires a lot of energy and focus, but it's like once you're on the train keeps going.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I mean, you've now acclimated to multiple versions of this show, and you've been a part of many like new cast members' rehearsal processes now, kind of. So, what is that like getting to kind of like hold hands with new cast members coming in and help them learn the show and help them make their debuts in the show?
Yeah. Yeah, that's been one of the largest treats of the show in a major way. Firstly, for the creative team to still be so like engaged. We're in the sixth year on Broadway, and they're in the eighth year in London. So for 8 years of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child globally, and for the creative team to still be tinkering and playing and open to conversation about the text and about the story and relationships is really wonderful, and has made doing 2.5 years of performances feel fresh and alive. And it's not in no way am I trying to replicate that first show, as magical as it was. It's all about tonight's show.
Yeah.
And then to get to work with new actors is always a treat. Like, it's heartbreaking to say goodbye to your friends when they
Oh,
leave the
I'm
production,
sure.
but also it's so thrilling to like Alex Sereno is the new Albus, as Joel left in November and Alex came in, and it's been like the Scorpius Albus dynamic with Joel was predicated on my relationship with Joel, our banter, our sort of dry humor, and then now Alex and I are 4 months into inventing this new friendship that is it. I think there are super fans of the show that come and they've seen it 100 times, and
Oh,
and
I'm
I,
sure.
I imagine that hopefully they can feel the difference in that friendship, because it is like my friendship with Alex and my friendship with Joel are different, and that has made every scene different to explore. And same thing with like we have a new Harry Potter this year, Matthew, and he's an incredible actor, and he's incredibly experienced. And to pick his brain and learn from him, watch him, is so thrilling. Just as I got to do with Steve, our previous Harry. So I'm just very lucky. I often joke that I am getting my master's in acting at Hogwarts, because I get to work with some incredible actors who have had wonderful careers, and just to get to chat with them about the art form is and how to stay sane and how to take care of yourself um, has been an incredible education.
I love that you talked about the dynamic too between like different actors on stage, because I was gonna say, how do you keep the show fresh for yourself after, I mean, you said 2.5 years now in the show. Because like, I mean, you're doing kind of the same thing every day, but like
Yeah,
now
the
it's
story
different.
doesn't change.
Yeah, but like now it's a little shortened, and you're doing a new version of the show, so it's different, but the
Yeah,
story is still the same, and you're playing the same character every day on stage. So you have to find like ways to make it fresh for yourself.
right. And aspirationally, like, as long as I'm right there in this moment right now with my partner who's right here in this moment right now, then there's nothing we have to do to make it fresh. It just will be fresh. Um, yeah.
Yes. And I mean, from watching you and Alex on stage, I was like, I feel like these two have grown up together as friends. Like
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean,
the dynamic, I
going through the Broadway rehearsal process for the first time, both of us, obviously at different times, but joined the show right out of college, and it's like there is a shared growing up in that way.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So I want to ask because Scorpius is the son of Draco Malfoy. So, what characteristics were important for you to add to Scorpius during the rehearsal process and on stage?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is a consideration of where does Scorpius come from? What comes from Astoria, who we never meet, what comes from Draco, and what comes from just me as Eric and my human beingness, because that's all I can bring. Um, and I think from Draco we see a lot of Draco's kind of shadow over Scorpius in the the very sort of prim way he dresses, and in his posture, and in some of his vocal posture, perhaps, especially towards the beginning of the play, and then over the course of the play, as Scorpius's number one influence in life shifts from Draco to Albus. In what ways then does Scorpius's, because the play spans like 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Over the course of those 3.5 years, in what ways now do we see Albus, reflecting in Scorpius, or some of the other students? Because as we go to school and we leave the nest, we change. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. You change. Yeah. Like you meet them when they're young and then you like see their relationship just like continue, like the relationship on stage and like the character on stage continue to develop over the years, which is
he's a
really cool
he's a
too.
wonderfully dynamic character that the creative team has written, and that
God,
I get to inhabit.
so good. So good. And like I feel growing up, Draco was like my favorite Harry Potter character. I would
Sure.
love because like so three-dimensional
Yeah.
and especially in the last movies and
Right.
books and projects.
And you see in the original stories, you see Draco dealing with the shadow of Lucius,
Yeah,
in similar and different ways as Scorpius does.
like yes, absolutely. What is it like to get to like bring like this beloved world to the stage every night in front of people who, because I went with someone who like just got my ticket outside the theater, the second ticket I had outside the theater, who'd never been to a Broadway show. What's it like to perform for people like that who love like the Wizarding World but have never been to a Broadway show?
Yeah, that's really special, especially when it's like children that are in the robes and they have the wands, and it's so it's so special. I know there's a there's some Dementors in the play, and one night, this was maybe a year ago, a few months ago, there was a kid in the audience that was like "Expecto Patronum," and it's so special too, because it feels so real, and you're in the same world. And um, but yeah, like I grew up listening to the audiobooks and watching the movies, and to get to be a part of that is really special. And that scene, kind of in the middle of Act One, when Albus and I are standing in the Forbidden Forest and we see Hogwarts in the distance, is um, we kind of have a moment to take a breath. It's a very quick moving play, but that scene, we get a brief moment to kind of sit in the awe of the wizarding world, and we're looking out into the audience, and the way
Yes.
the scene is lit, it feels there's a really special sense of communion in that scene.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
I, I do get a smile on my face thinking about
Ah,
um, the people in the audience, that this how much this means to them, or maybe if it doesn't yet mean anything to them, hopefully by the end of the night
it
it
will.
will. And yeah, it's pretty spectacular.
Oh my God, that'd be so cool if you're like introducing kids to the story too on stage, and then they go home and read the books and like watch the movies for the first time.
That is often a conversation at the stage door, where there's some kids, and the parents are with them, and they're saying like, "Oh, we've got to go home and watch all the movies and read all the books now." And I'm like, "I'm so jealous of you, because you get to experience that for the first time." And sure, maybe there are some spoilers in the play, in a way, like to what happens in the books, but still,
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Oh my gosh, that's so true. I mean, like growing up, like book, uh, the midnight book releases were just my favorite.
yeah.
I was like, this is making my day. And I mean, now those kids get to experience going to buy those books for the first time and going to book.
It is generational, both in the story of Harry and his child, Draco and his child, and also in the sense of like I think a lot of the people that were first touched by the books now have their own kids and they get to share this world with their kids through our play. And it's yeah.
That's so special. So the show, as I mentioned before, has changed throughout the years that you've been in it. How do you think your version of Scorpius has changed throughout the years as the play has changed?
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's so connected to the way the text has changed. I mean, sure, like the text dictates what happens, certainly. Um, but I think as I have grown and changed as Eric outside of the play over the last 2.5 years, certainly Scorpius has changed. Um, I mean, I think there's a certain level of like adrenaline and anxiety that exist within Scorpius because of the events of the story. That existed early on in my run with the show, existed with me because I was early on in the run of my show. And now I don't feel quite the same sense of self-consciousness or anxiety or adrenaline. Certainly the adrenaline. I still feel self-conscious and anxious often, um, as I think we all do. And
Yes.
um, so the energy and the fuel, what once maybe was powered by adrenaline, now is powered by, I guess, story forward thinking and physical choices. And so the story hasn't necessarily changed, but how I exist within it maybe has. Or also like, I was doing this thing in the show and it started after doing it 100 times, it started to bother my whatever muscle. And so now I've found a different way to do it because these are the sustainable choices that actors have to make because of the repetitive nature of the job.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, yes. And someone's like, no, change the way you're doing it. So then,
yeah, stay safe, take care of yourself. And then
right.
and then the major way being that now I'm working with um, new artists, and so the relationship. I think theater exists in the space in between actors on stage and the space in between those actors and the audience, and the audience changes every night. And over the course of 3 years, the actors I'm on stage with, in a large sense, have changed, and so that's two sides of the triangle that are changing, and so it exists uniquely in one moment.
Yeah, it's so fun. It keeps you entertained and like on your feet.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's another special thing about theater that's different from like watching a movie is that if you come back to a show multiple times, then you're seeing it a different version, no matter
Certainly.
based on the audience, based on maybe this is the shorter version you're seeing now and you saw the two-part show before.
Right.
Anything.
Right. And sometimes a child yells expecto patronum in the audience, and everybody hears it. Even us on stage, we hear it. We hear all the noise that's happening in the audience. And we're not gonna, in a show like this one, we're not necessarily going to integrate it into the story. The
Oh,
Dementors are not going to react because that's not the type of play that this is. But in that moment, um,
it,
we've all heard it. We're all humans,
it's so
and
cute.
it's so it
Yes.
makes it uniquely, yeah, special to that one night.
Oh my God, how precious is that?
Yeah.
That's the cutest thing. And I feel like after intermission, the vibes probably change too because there's the whole gift shop in the theater
Oh,
and
yes.
come from the gift shop.
Yeah.
And you're like just so excited to like have their merch and their seats after intermission.
And some
Or
snacks.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like the
And what a
vibe.
cliffhanger. Act one ends on like a crazy, it might be the most wild cliffhanger I've ever experienced in Act one, you know, intermission ending.
I was not expecting it.
Yeah,
No spoilers, but I was like, oh, that
yeah,
was
certainly.
cool. Yeah, that was epic. So I know you're not allowed to like reveal how anything happens on stage, but what is your personal favorite bit of magic that happens in the show?
Oh wow. The phone booth.
Ooh, I feel like that was
Um,
an answer from either Ayana or Ali.
oh yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm not on stage when it happens, so I get to watch it. Um, and yeah, it's just I remember the first time I saw the show, after I knew I was going to be in the show, I hadn't seen the show, but before I started rehearsals, I went and saw it. And when that happened, I think my jaw probably hit my lap. Um, yeah,
It's still on the floor.
yeah, it's still somewhere in the dress circle.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And okay, so I feel like it's a very simple little magic trick at the beginning of the show too, but the robe spin? Come
Yeah,
on.
that
What?
one's really neat. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that must be so fun to like rehearse.
And it's kind of the first one in the play. And not I guess there's the sorting hats hat also.
Yeah.
But the cloak reveal, platform
Oh
nine
my
and three quarters,
God.
and I'm standing backstage waiting for my first scene at that moment, and that's you can hear the audience sort of, and I think that from that moment the tone has been set for like what we're doing tonight. You know, we're negotiating what this evening is going to be with the audience, and
Oh my
that one kind of says, "All right, we've got stuff like this up our sleeve. If you'll stay with us."
yes. I I need to talk about the staircase ballet part because
Sure, yeah,
how long does that take to master? Because there's a lot going on. It's like I feel like a good 5 minutes, maybe. Maybe
yeah.
more.
I don't know what the timestamp is on it, but yeah, it's not super brief. Um,
No, and it's cool.
the
Like you're like,
first the first rehearsal studio that I learned the show in, the ceilings weren't high enough, so we couldn't do it on the stairs in the studio. So we just had to walk it on the floor without the stairs. And then we adjusted to the stairs once we were in tech. I don't remember how long it took us to learn, um, but
is it like I feel like do you get like dizzy during it or like you're ever confused?
oh no, I at this point I have done it so many times that it just feels
Muscles memory.
totally normal to me. Early on, no, I mean, honestly, like the stairs are doing the majority of the work. Mostly, I am just standing there, and the people moving the stairs are the ones working really hard. Um, so I just kind of trust that the stairs will put me where they're supposed to put me, and that's my adventure. Much like, at Hogwarts, when the stairs start moving on you, you just kind of accept it and ride them, I
You're like,
think.
okay,
Yeah,
we no, it was so cool. My jaw was speaking of jaw on the floor. I was like, this is so cute.
yeah,
Like,
and it's heartbreaking.
oh my God, I was like crying too. I was like, no.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, it was so sad. Cause like this friendship.
Yeah,
Oh, just like beautiful though. And the music, the
music,
lighting,
music's
like that goes
incredible.
along with
Yeah.
it. I feel like the lighting helps with the magic on stage too.
Yeah, and Neil Austin won a Tony Award for lighting for a very good reason. Like the show is lit impeccably.
Yes. And it like just magic,
Yeah.
literally. So I want to ask, what's the funniest thing that's happened on stage throughout your 2.5 years of Cursed Child?
Oh gosh. I mean, lots of funny comments from children in the audience that I overhear
It's
and
my favorite one.
act like I don't hear. Um, and um, I remember one time there's the bit where I'm dressed up as Harry and I'm wearing Harry's glasses. And one night the glasses fell off my face and the lenses popped out.
Oh,
Oh, there was that. And, there's always
fun.
fun little real life obstacles that pop up
Yes.
that are like, I love them because it means there's
Challenge.
something to deal with in this moment for the first time ever, and that's thrilling.
Yes.
Um, let's see. Yeah, I guess I don't even know what it is I'm allowed to say and not say. Uh, um, one time, the soap that Albus casts Engorgio on, and then it grows.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it it's the Engorgio spell worked a little bit too well, and the soap like
Like,
kind of just like if you like release a balloon and it flies around the room.
yeah.
So sort of like that happened for super quickly, and I caught it with my other hand, and I was so amazed.
Baseball.
Yeah, yeah, I was so amazed. I looked at this was back when Joel was playing Albus, and I looked at him like, "Did you see that?" That was pretty funny. We had a good.
Yes. Hey, the baseball skills coming in handy on
Yeah,
stage.
yeah, definitely.
People are like, whoa. I'm sure
Um,
people were impressed. Uh, there's also a lot of great quotes in the show. What is your favorite quote?
mm,
Honestly, to say, because you have some good lines.
yes, I have some incredible lines that I get to say. I love in the Forbidden Forest with Snape when I get to say thank you for being my light in the darkness, because that's, I think, right now there's like a lot of darkness,
Yeah.
and just a little reminder that you can be a light in someone's darkness is really special. So I love saying that. I love in the library scene with Albus when we, sort of have our argument and then we make up. And I say, towards the end, as he's apologizing, I say, this is wonderfully fulsome, but you're starting to talk more about you than me again, which is it's just a funny,
No,
like
it
brilliant line. And also, I think it's like a really poignant lesson in that, like, yeah, when you're apologizing to your friend who you've hurt, you can't make it all about yourself. Um,
Yep.
and it's so true, and it's so funny, and so I love that moment. I love playing that moment every night.
I mean, the nostalgia that you get to go through on stage for Harry Potter fans in the audience is
Yeah,
so fun too. Like, it's just like everyone in the audience when they from scene to scene is like, oh,
yeah,
his favorite characters on stage.
certainly. Yeah, it's really special.
Oh, and I can't end Harry Potter questions without asking, what Hogwarts house are you in real life?
In my personal life, I am a Gryffindor,
Okay, I can see it. I can see it. I'm
or at
I'm
least that's what the Sorting Hat has told me. Oh,
Ooh.
A Hufflepuff. Excellent.
Yes.
We
And
have a lot of Hufflepuffs in the cast.
oh my gosh. I mean, not to be biased, but like best house? Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
an argument to be made, certainly.
Oh yeah, for sure. I wish there was more representation like of Hufflepuffs. I mean, I guess Cedric, but
Cedric and Carl Jenkins.
yeah. I mean, just like I feel like we need like a whole movie about that, about like Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw.
Yeah, I'll buy a ticket to see that, certainly.
Underrepresented a little bit. And oh, speaking of that, what's your favorite Harry Potter movie or book?
Oh wow. I do love Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes.
That one's pretty great. I guess I'm a little biased to Deathly Hollows also because it's the one book where we see Scorpius briefly.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I remember loving well, all of them. But Half-Blood Prince, the first time I don't remember if I read it or listened to it first, but I remember sort of like devouring that one. Um, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And Alan Rickman.
Oh,
So,
yes.
like
Yeah.
icon. I cry every time I think about the movies and every time I watch the movies and see them on screen. So,
Yeah. Gosh,
Big Alan
yeah,
Rickman fan.
an incredible actor.
Oh, so good, so good. Uh, Also, a little fun question: if you could add any Harry Potter character who isn't in the show to the show, who would it be?
Oh, wow. Wow, this is something I've thought about. And it's tough because I would love a Dobby cameo. A Dobbio, I was gonna say. A Dobby cameo would be awesome. And I think it would be really cool if like Harry got to have a chat with a Sirius Black portrait,
Oh my
maybe,
gosh, yeah.
much like the Dumbledore portrait discussion.
I
But Dobby and Sirius are two of my favorite characters from the original story, so I just would
oh
love
my
to see them.
well, my dog can audition for Dobby, so
Oh, perfect.
yeah.
I did. Oh my gosh, maybe this is the funniest thing that's happened since I've been at the show. I did meet a service dog at the show, at the stage door, who was dressed as Dobby. And this was fairly recently. Alex and I were at the stage door together, and we took a photo with Dobby. Um, yeah,
God. And you're like, Dobby, it's so good to meet you.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. I actually dressed my dog Angel as Dobby like 2, 3 years ago for Halloween.
That's golden.
He looked so cute. So, I mean, if you need someone to audition for Dobby, like,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if I hear any whispers about Dobby being added to the show,
I'll tell my dog and
yeah,
bring her in for a little. Yeah, yeah. That'd be a good character to add. And there could be a way. There could be a way.
sure, yeah, I'm sure.
Anything can happen. So, how would you convince people to come see Cursed Child on Broadway?
I guess I would say please come see the show. I have fun doing it, and I think you will have fun watching it, and that's that.
Yes,
No, I think it is just like a wonderful way to spend your evening.
it is. Yeah. And I mean, whether you've seen a Broadway show or not, I feel like it's
Yeah.
it's a perfect first Broadway show.
It is, and there's so many people that say at the stage door, this is my first Broadway show, and I always try to say like, well, I hope you get to see many more, because it is, and then if you have seen a bunch of Broadway shows, then I think this one will, perhaps change your expectations or have something different to offer. I think it is unique in that way, and so come check it out. Join
Yeah,
us,
you leave thinking about how do they make everything happen on stage.
certainly.
Yeah, and
Sometimes you're on stage and you're wondering how do we do that?
how did I do that? I must be a wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, I think I am. Yeah. So, what is your dream role on stage to play?
Oh wow. Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of great classical roles I would love to play, but
Ooh.
I think the big dream is to get to work on something new with great people, like something that is maybe isn't out there yet.
Oh, would love that. Yeah, manifesting that for you because
Yeah.
I could see it. You're a fantastic actor. So like anything like that someone creates.
Oh, well, thank you. You're very
Someone
kind.
creating a character for you would be really cool.
It'd be really cool to kind of be in that early on collaboration phase,
Yeah.
with something. Yeah,
Yes. And who is someone that you look up to in the theater industry?
so many people, so many of my coworkers at Harry Potter. Um, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pick just one. Um, okay, I'm a big fan. I've never met him. I've never talked to him, but I've seen him in a couple of plays. And I think Will Brill, who has just won the Tony for Stereophonic, I think
Oh,
he is an incredible actor. I'm a huge fan.
yes. Oh, I love that. And we can also manifest you working with him someday.
Hey, that would be cool. Sign me up.
Yeah, let's go. This is one of my favorite questions to ask is how do you work on self-confidence in the theater industry and the acting industry in general?
That's a fantastic question. Um, I mean, I think it probably, hopefully, maybe comes from your breath. I think that when your self-confidence is in question, when my self-confidence is in question, if I can connect with a breath in that moment and know that in that moment all that's happening is I'm breathing, and
Y-
in that moment when you're breathing in that moment right then, like there are no problems, everything is fine. Um, that's very helpful to me. And I also think that just like living with your self-confidence wherever it may be and acknowledging it is very powerful, because like if I'm feeling anxious or I'm questioning myself, it's easy to try and like tamp it down and ignore it, but that is not usually a very productive thing to do. So it's if I'm, if I'm on stage, I'm in the middle of the scene, or like if a joke bombs, or I'm like I have someone in the audience tonight and I'm a little extra self-conscious because there's someone special in the audience, then if I just like acknowledge it and continue forward, that's much more productive than acting like I'm not feeling anything. And fortunately, with a character like Scorpius, who is constantly questioning his confidence and is constantly anxious, if that manifests in like a slightly shake your hand, that like is beneficial to the storytelling.
Oh my gosh, yes. I feel like that's why like Scorpius is such a relatable character, is because like you see all the human sides
Yeah,
of him on stage. He's literally
certainly.
he's literally written to be relatable to like what everyone feels,
Yeah.
which is really cool. And I feel like more characters need to be like that a little bit. I don't know.
And it's
You know,
such a gift for me as an actor, because it's like kind of wherever there's a lot of latitude with Scorpius, and wherever I am at, I'm kind of able to be there with him,
yeah.
and so it's rare that I am living something outside of my own experience when I'm on stage.
Yes, we love a three-dimensional character.
Yeah.
So good. Um, so where can people follow you on social media to like keep up with what you're doing, keep up with future projects, keep up to see if you do another version of Romeo and Juliet or if you do a tour with them?
Sure. Yeah, I am on Instagram at Erik. It's Erik, Erik, dot Peterson. Um, and that's about it.
Yes. Okay, love that. And your website is awesome. I looked at your resume
PetersonErik.com. That's the website.
too. So, but I will post everything in the description in lower thirds. And do you have anything in the works that you'd like to promote, or do you just want to tell people to come see Cursed Child on Broadway?
Come see Cursed Child on Broadway.
Yes, love that. Definitely should. Um, Thank you so much for joining me today to talk. I had
Oh
a
yeah.
blast, and I was so
Thanks for
honored
chatting, Becca.
that you wanted to be on.
Of course, of course. Yeah, thanks for talking. It's lovely to meet you, and I
It
hope you're enjoying the sunny California weather.
actually rained yesterday, which was
Ah,
insane. I was like, what the heck?
well, that's good. That's important too.
Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!